welcome back to another lesson. Today we're going to look at one point perspective interior. To begin this particular worksheet, I would like you to set up your paper the way that I have it set up over here. Make sure that you have a vanishing point, of course. Don't put it right in the middle of the paper, and also this blue line that you see over here across, make sure that it is not necessarily right in the middle. Notice that it's approximately 1/3 of the way down from the top of my blue box that I have set up over here. So we're going to create something that looks like the interior of a room, and we're just going to do some very basic lines, some very basic things that can get you started on setting up an interior. So to begin, I would like you to draw a box, but the way that I want you to make this box is where the vanishing point is going to be slightly off center. I don't want it to be centered. You could also draw this box before you even put the vanishing point. Okay, so once you have this box, what I would like you to do is I want you to take your ruler and carefully I want you to line up the vanishing point with this corner and then draw all the way to the edge of your paper. And then I would like you to repeat with each of the other 3 corners, making sure that you go from vanishing point to the corner and all the way out to the edge of the paper, or to the edge of the box if you have it set up the way I have mine. And then here once again, from the vanishing point to the corner and to the edge of the paper. Again, one more time, from vanishing point. Ooh, I didn't want an arc. You don't want an arc. And to the end of the paper. And hopefully I am right on the vanishing point and right on the corner. Okay, so as always, we will be doing a lot of erasing. So I want you to now take your eraser and I want you to erase these lines over here because you don't want to have those lines there. And mainly because you want to see this come alive and you want it to look three-dimensional as you're working on it. Okay, so already you can see that there's a three-dimensional quality to this whole entire interior that we are creating. Okay, so now on this left side of our wall, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a vertical line. And this vertical line needs to be perfectly straight up and down and parallel with the edge of your left side of the paper. Then very carefully I want you to line up the vanishing point with the top of this line and draw all the way out to the edge of the paper, just like that. Okay, now we're going to draw another vertical line. Okay, and we're going to erase this over here and this over here, and I just erased a little bit of my line there. Now we're not finished, because what we're doing here is basically a pass-through between the room that we're in and the room that is adjacent to this room. So what I want you to do is draw a horizontal line over here and another one over here, and then a vertical line in between those two horizontal lines. Make sure that you start at this corner right here, okay? And you can make it as thick or as as wide or as narrow as you want, this rectangle, and then the same thing up here. Now we're not done, because what we have to look at over here is the underneath part of this wall right here. So this underneath part, the thickness of this wall needs to be drawn. So how do you do that? What I want you to do is line up the vanishing point with this corner right here, and then continue the line all the way to the vertical line that you drew. So it may not look like much right now, and that's because you have to erase. And once you erase, you're going to see the three-dimensional quality of this wall that's going to show, or that is going to be the entrance into the other room. Okay, well, we're still not done, because now what I'm envisioning here is this room is the same depth as the room that we're in. So continuing on with this line right here, we're going to sort of like line up your ruler with this line over here. So put up your ruler on the line, and then go in between here and draw a straight horizontal line just like that. Now, if you look carefully, you could see a tiny bit of the top of the ceiling, I guess, and that is actually right over here in this tiny little spot. And believe it or not, that tiny little line makes a huge difference in actually seeing this room as three-dimensional. Even more so by your erasing this tiny bit of a line. Now you're seeing the room even more. And I'm going to turn off my layer, my horizon line, that line that I wanted you to put there with the vanishing point, so you can actually see this even better. Okay, So we have two rooms. Well, on this side of the wall, what I want you to draw is another line that is going to be vertical, just like that. And then the top and the bottom of this line, I want you to line them up with the vanishing point. It doesn't have to be that long, but we'll make it. So make sure that the top and the bottom of the line are both lining up with the vanishing point. Okay? So now we're going to draw another vertical right over here. And this is going to be, I don't know, like a window on that wall. And now I'm going to erase, because like I was saying the other day, in perspective drawing, probably about half, maybe more, of the lines that you draw have to be erased eventually. So draw lightly, don't press hard, and you should be okay. Now, what I want to do to this window is make that bar that shows us that it's a window, the middle bar that shows you where the window opens. So you cannot just, in perspective drawing, you cannot just haphazardly put it whatever you want to put it. It doesn't work that way. You actually have to be very careful how you do it. And I'm going to draw some guidelines right now, which I will erase in a bit. And I'm going to draw the guidelines with some gray so you can see that they are guidelines. So first, I want you to draw two diagonals, corner to corner. Okay? Now, just like in a square, okay, let's say that you have a square or a rectangle or whatever shape you want to, call this right now. Oh, let's call it a square. In geometry, whenever you want to find the center of a shape, you do that by doing the diagonals. Okay, that will give you the perfect center. Okay, and it will give you the perfect center this way too. So the same thing is being done over here by putting the diagonals, and the line, the vertical line that goes through this center, okay, and you want to make sure that it is as vertical as possible, and it is parallel with the edges of your window. Okay, there you go, that's the center. Which layer am I on? Okay, I'm on that layer. So and then another way that you can do this is, what if you wanted to make a crossbar? Well, in that case, you cannot just draw it however you want to draw it. What you have to do is you have to go from the vanishing point to that center right there and continue it to the edge of the window, like that. So that's giving you your perfect center. Okay, the perfect center for, and it's all drawn in perspective. So let me go back to my original layer. Let's draw this with black. So now I know you can't see it because I am underneath my gray line. And now you can see it. You can see how it looks. Oops, there you go. There's the window. Now what if you wanted to have, I don't know, more panels to this window? Well, here's how you do it. So let me turn these layers back on and take my gray. So now let's say you want to add more panels. This is how you do it. You find the center again over here. Okay. And you find the center again over here. And then all you have to do is draw verticals going through those centers. And I can adjust my line, but you will have to make sure that you draw it perfectly parallel with your ruler. Okay, and if you use a grid paper like I am, you will be able to see exactly how parallel that line is. And then again, going through this center. Okay. Okay. And there you go. We have more panels added to our window. Okay, so now we have something that is perfectly drawn using perspective. Now I'm gonna go wild over here with making some other stuff in the room. And one thing that is always fun is to draw a hole in the ground. And I know you're like, why would you have a hole in the ground in this room? It's my house. I can do whatever I want, right? So let's do this. So let's say that you want to put like, I don't know, a sunken living room over here. So you start out with a line, a horizontal line. And then, of course, you line up the corners with your vanishing point. And I'm just drawing a line. I don't care how long it is. Just draw it. And do the same thing on this other side. Okay. Now I want my sunken living room over here to be rectangular. So notice that this line over here and this line over here are not ending on the same horizontal plane. So what you want to do is you actually want to draw a perfectly horizontal line between these two lines right here. Okay, so that gives you your perfectly rectangular hole. Okay, and now I can erase because that's what we do. We erase and we erase and we erase some more. So notice that now you could stop right here and make a carpet, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a hole, but I want to make a hole in the ground because I am the architect, right? So to make the hole, what you would have to do in this case is draw two verticals from the corner. Okay, and notice that I'm making one longer and one shorter, and I'm doing this on purpose because I don't want you to think that you're just gonna be haphazardly connecting these two ends. No, what you have to do is you have to draw a perfectly horizontal line. So no matter where your lines end, where your vertical lines end, you still have to make sure that your horizontal is perfectly horizontal. And then this corner right here and this corner right here are going to be lined up with the vanishing point. And from the vanishing point to the corner and to the other end of your hole, and that's your hole. Now you have a sunken living room, or whatever you want to make this into. This is how you will draw a swimming pool. This is how you will draw the inside of a box. So there are all kinds of things that you can draw, basing the concept on this hole that I've just drawn in the floor of my living room. Okay. So another thing I want to show you is how to draw a grid on the floor. So for that, I'm gonna make a carpet. Okay, so to make a carpet, you start out the same exact way that you started the hole. So we're going to go from edge to edge like this. Okay, and then the vanishing point gets lined up with this line over here, and then you draw all the way to the bottom over here, and then you do the same thing over here. You know what, let me erase and let me draw this on another layer because I know I'm going to have to erase. Okay, so let me do this on another layer, and then we'll be able to erase without having to avoid too many things. There. Okay, so now I can actually erase these lines and not worry about avoiding the hole. Okay, so oh, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, that's okay. So now on this edge over here, what I want you to do is every inch, every 3/4 of an inch, you decide how far apart these marks are going to be, but they need to be equal distant. Okay, and obviously, yeah, as always, I'm off by one, but that's okay. We'll We'll pretend that that's the end of the carpet right there and erase this. So there, problem solved. Okay, so now each one of these marks that we have here are going to be lined up with a vanishing point. Okay, and you're going to draw a line through them just like that, making sure that you go from the vanishing point through the mark and all the way down to the bottom. Let me see what we did. Did we move things? Hopefully we didn't. No, we didn't. Okay. And then you repeat. It's still going through the vanishing point. Don't worry about that. Yeah. And then you repeat with each one of the marks that we have here. So line up your ruler with the vanishing point. Now, in your case, because you have pencil and paper, you don't have to worry about drawing over the hole and having to erase so much. You can just start there, line up your ruler with the vanishing point, making sure that you are all lined up, but then you just draw from the mark to the bottom of your paper. And I don't want an arc. No, I don't. You see, sometimes this app is so wonderful, and other times it thinks that it's smarter than you. Okay. Then last but not least, we do this one. Okay, so now you have all these lines drawn. Let me erase so that you don't get confused about what it is that I have here. And if you need to make any adjustments on yours, go ahead and do that. Okay. So now you have this, and what I want to make on this floor right now is pretty much like a checkerboard pattern. So the first line that you draw is just anywhere. Doesn't matter where you put it. Doesn't matter at all. It's just a horizontal line. Okay? But then the next line that you're going to draw is going to be a line that is you have to draw very carefully, because you draw from the corner all the way across this way, and make sure that you don't move your ruler. You want to make sure that it goes from the corner to the corner, just like that. Okay, so now if you want to be safe about what you're going to do next, you can actually do the same thing from this corner to that corner all the way down. And I want to make sure it's from the corner to the corner, and it is. Okay, so you're wondering, what are these all about? Well, here's what they are. So now these two lines, whenever they travel towards the bottom, it hits various points. It hits here, right? And it goes here. It also goes here and here, right? Okay. So now if you did this correctly, then you can draw a perfectly horizontal line going through those two intersection points, just like mine did right now. And then again, you can see that I have another line, and I can adjust this in a second because I started it off on the edge. But if you did this correctly, then this line will go through those intersection points, and it will be a perfectly horizontal line. Okay, so there you go. So now I have a grid on my floor, and then I can erase these lines. I should have done that on a different layer, but that's okay. You guys know that erasing is part of the deal. So in reality, if you were looking at this grid from a bird's eye point of view, this grid will actually be formed out of equal rectangular shapes or squares or whatever they come out to be. And knowing how to do this in 1-point perspective, and I will show you how to do the same thing tomorrow with 2-point perspective, but knowing how to do this, the grid is actually going to be very, very helpful for a lot of different things. So an architect will probably use this to plot the scheme of a house, or a plan, a bunch of buildings, or whatever. So this will be used as a way to say, okay, well, each one of these squares represents a foot of space, a square foot of space, and you know how to plot your whole entire design based on the fact that you have this grid. Okay, so you can see how, let me turn off this over here. You can see how just with a few simple rules you can create a three-dimensional space, and it's beautifully, designed, and everything is in perfect shape. And there are so many different things that we could do here. We could make some furniture, we could make some bookshelves, we could do a bunch of different things. But for now, this is very important for you to know how to make a grid and how to plan out these sort of things that we have here. And I will show you Maybe, I don't know, we'll see how things work out, but I will show you how to do other objects in a three-dimensional form. So I can show you how to do a house with a roof that is perfectly centered, and all kinds of different things like that that use 1 point perspective. So hopefully you have learned something new, and that you will get this worksheet done and you will not have any problems. But if you do, you can always ask for help. Thanks for watching. See you next time.